Ted,
Hi, Fatima.
how are you?
Good. I made it.
Okay, you made it. Okay, it's a pleasure to me to have you here in Influentes Lab. So let me introduce yourself to the people that get online right now. Ted Gibbons is a senior design principal at Ten Design, boasts over 25 years of pioneering architectural experience from massive urban developments in Asia to chic beach houses in LA. His team has clinched over 30 design competitions in Asia, including two recent major wins in South Korea and numerous accolades like the 2017 Cityscape Dubai Residential Futures Award. And Gibbons' innovative work is widely recognized, featured in a prominent publication and media outlets. And here presents a top global design event, served as juror for the Asia Pacific Interior Design Awards, and taught at prestigious institutions like Hong Kong University and the University of Miami. And right now you are in Querétaro, right?
Yeah, with the University of Technology of Monterey for the year-end reviews.
Wow, amazing. So you like to teach?
Yeah, and it's one of my friends, Frizzly Co-op, one of our collaborators, is here teaching, and we're doing a studio with the Marley family to design projects for the Marleys. So it's a Marley Beach Club is the theme of the studio.
Wow, amazing. Well,
So
I want to start this conversation, Ted, sorry, with principal question for me is how did you begin your career in architecture?
um, really, I guess it started in second grade. I wanted to be an artist, and my cousin was going to a design school in North Carolina. So he took me on a tour of the university, and the projects were really neat, and I really liked it. And there was an old car someone had cut in half and made into furniture. So on the spot, I decided in second grade I wanted to be an architect. And then my cousin went to Harvard, so I'd always followed his career. So as I got older, I just watched him and kind of modeled my career after him.
So you come with creative family?
Uh, my mom was like kind of a fashion designer, I guess,
Uh,
and then my cousins were architects. So there's some designers in the family.
Wow. How has your design philosophy evolved over 25 years you've been in the industry?
But I think it's gone a lot more towards the art side of the spectrum, and also really pushing sustainability. So I think all of our projects really try to engage the environment and do kind of disaster-proof houses and things that will last, and really kind of trying to make communities for people. So I think it went from pure formalism to more kind of artistic side, mixed with sustainability and ideas of kind of giving back to the planet and making kind of more meaningful buildings.
Wow. So, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced early in your career?
I guess the hardest part is getting your first job. Like that's the most difficult part of architecture, because when you're young, you're pretty much not worth very much because you have no experience. And I actually got my first job because I was working at a landscape company, and I happened to be mowing the lawn up on the street, and a guy from my university stopped by, saw me, and offered me a job. So it's just complete chance. And then the same thing happened in California. I was at the
And
grocery
I
store, and the guy was
guess
bagging my groceries,
drunk. Uh-huh.
and he's like, "I know you." He was like, "I don't think so." I was like, "No, I know you. I know you from the lunch truck at school." He said, "I'm working here because I'm going to Colombia making money. You should take my job when I leave." So that's how I got my second job at the grocery store with a random guy who happened to know me from the lunch truck at school. So I think
Wow.
chance is a big part of it. So I think being open to chance, and when opportunities present themselves, you have to go for it. It really goes like you expect. So you just have to expect the unexpected. Let it go.
And also, when you are young, everyone wants experience you. And it's weird because you are young, so you don't have any experience.
Yeah, you have to work really hard at school, get a good portfolio, and the most important thing is get to know your professors, get to know your friends, because most of your jobs will come from your friends, the first ones, and then that gives you time to figure out what you want. But it's critical
Yeah,
to get a good first job because that sets your whole career. And I think almost in a way, the bigger the firm, the better, because you make a bigger network earlier.
yeah, also the recommendation.
Yeah, I actually just saw my first boss in LA last week. I haven't seen him in maybe 10 years. but he does beach houses in Manhattan Beach and kind of Malibu, California. So it's nice to catch up and talk to him. He used
Wow.
to pay me in wetsuits and surfboards because sometimes he couldn't pay me.
Okay, okay. We'll take care about that, okay? So, can you describe a particular difficult project and how you and your team managed to achieve success?
I guess recently we did a competition,
Okay.
and the site was about 140 by 140 kilometers, and we had to design 40 different hotels in the site.
Wow.
So I think just getting a hold of the scale was very difficult. And then I think we had 6 weeks to design 40 different hotels, 2 renderings each, diagrams, models, plans. So that was our most challenging thing. It was just the logistics of it. So you have to think quickly, work as a team. And I think the best thing is just engaging the team, brainstorming, and just kind of trusting your
Mhm.
first instincts. But I guess just the scale and the speed was the challenge for us. It's also very exciting. So once you really get into it, it's great. And there's always this valley on projects where it goes down to the bottom of the valley and it feels kind of hopeless, but you always get across it, keep going. The creative process always has these dips. You just have to learn to kind of go through the dips.
Wow. Wow, very interesting. You didn't sleep, right? Right?
Yeah, so I started working in Hong Kong, and I think for 5 years I probably worked to midnight every single night.
Wow. Has been the most emotionally impactful project you've working on, and why did it resonate with you so deeply?
Mm, well, recently we started doing kind of micro houses. So we did a project that didn't get built, but it was for a community in Ivory Coast, and it flooded really bad. It was ultra poor. So we used those constraints to design a really beautiful project because no one really looks out for the lowest rung of society. But I think if we can engage in those projects and make them special, that's what excites me and I think is the most meaningful. And I think the idea is if we can do some really beautiful houses for the low income community, it will help them. But at the same time, we can grow that technology up into bigger buildings. So I think we can, instead of growing down, we can grow, kind of trickle up from the ultra poor to the rich. And we did the same thing in Philippines. We went to build houses in Philippines, and they told
Mhm.
us in this village, like, if you build one house, the other 80 families will burn the house down. So you have to either build 80 houses at once or teach the guys how to build houses. So we did just that. We started an education fund. We took a guy to Singapore to get eye surgery. He was going blind, the village elder. And we had a kind of college and school fund for the kids. So it was more, we went education versus building. It was outside
That
of Dumaguete. It was like a really it was really great. I mean, it's really, really, they make, I think the families make 50 cents a day is the average income. Like anything
okay.
below that, essentially you die. So it's really great
Mhm.
to get in and try to help them restructure their little community and teach them about sustainable practice.
It were a very poor zone in
Yeah,
Philippines.
yeah, yeah. It was really bad. And then every time there's a typhoon, it knocks down all the houses, and then they'll cut
Mhm.
down more bamboo to make more houses. But that just makes the next storm worse because there's more erosion, there's more runoff. So it's a cycle. So we're trying to get them out of the cycle and teach them
Mhm.
how to build kind of some kind of simple but sustainable houses. So the first thing they did, they built a basketball court and a community center.
Amazing. It's really good for you and good for the world. Amazing. So, what drives your passion for sustainable and disaster resistant architecture? And how do you see the impacting future generations?
Yeah, well, I took when I was in college, I did architecture and also did technological history. So I had a really brilliant professor, and he talked a lot about disasters. And essentially, like, if you live near the coast or you live in an earthquake zone, the it's not really a disaster. He called the storms and the incidents probabilities, because there's nothing really accidental about disaster. There's patterns, and it's actually getting worse. So the first thing is just acknowledge the problem and don't avoid it, and think about how the building is engaged that. So when you're designing a building, don't ignore the fact it's an earthquake zone. Don't ignore the fact that it's in a tornado zone. There's a lot of tornadoes in the States now getting worse, and everybody tends to ignore it and do the same stick-built structures and kind of act surprised when they get blown down. So I think it's in our current capacity to solve that problem very easily. It just has to be proven, I think, by models, and then get built, and then it'll, I think, start to work its way into society.
I mean, what you try to tell me is for a good architect is to see how the disasters impact the houses, impact the buildings.
Yeah, and just be aware of it and acknowledge it, because a lot of people just they stick with the same techniques for years and years and years. But there's systems now, like prefabricated site cast systems out of concrete, that are essentially hurricane proofed. I think 250 miles per hour and even beyond. Because one of our friends built a house in Miami out of concrete, and the tree hit his house during the storm. It bounced off his house and obliterated the neighbor's house, and it just put a little dent in his house. So it's possible now. It just takes kind of an awareness, I think.
Wow. How has your role as an educator and guest critic shaped your own design perspectives and methodologies?
I think the one nice thing is the students always have the freshest ideas and the most passion.
Mhm.
So it almost kind of rekindles your youth as well and your kind of joy for architecture. There's so much enthusiasm and excitement. So I think it's really good to engage with the kids, and it's as much as we kind of inspire them, but they also inspire us. And a lot of most of our employees we've hired directly out of our studios, because you also get to know the kids pretty well. And then I mean, if they're good, we take their ideas and we put it right into our projects and hire them to work on projects. That happened to me at my graduation. I was hired based off my thesis project by a guy doing a project like my thesis project. So it's good to grab the students that think like you and just from the start working and letting them design. It doesn't matter how senior you are, as long as you have good ideas, we'll use it.
Okay. Pep, I want to know if you someday have this dream to come true, a really famous architect when you was a little boy.
Yeah, I think when I was little, I really wanted to be a famous architect.
Well,
Now I just really want to do cool things, and I really enjoy kind of engaging with teaching, and also getting more engaged with kind of art. I think we met at an art event in Guadalajara, so I really enjoy kind of mixing music and art with architecture, and it's almost just I probably already finished my career as far as built buildings go, so I'm kind of rebooting and trying to do a more artistic approach and really experimental, and just kind of letting that evolve.
wow, amazing. Can you tell me what is your work with Yuri Satarain here in Guadalajara?
Yeah,
How you met?
we were with a client and we're showing them our portfolio, and they're like, "Your stuff is really crazy and wild. You need to meet Yuri. His stuff feels the same as your style." So I think we spent maybe an hour with the client. He took us to Yuri's studio, and then I think we sat with Yuri for like 7 hours. We hit it off, started talking and sharing ideas, and we became friends almost on the spot. And then
Wow.
we just started coming with these ideas. He had a party, and we had
Uh-huh.
this idea of just there's an artist called Mafio, and he came to our office maybe 2 years ago, and
Okay.
he wouldn't tell us a thing about his project. We had to design a school for him, but he said, "I'm gonna play a song and self-compose it, and you need to listen to the song and then draw what I'm playing."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's how it all started. And then we said, well, let's do that with Yuri in Mexico. So then we started doing it together, and it's kind of evolving into this kind of interactive, kind of almost kind of like the birth of an idea is an exciting point. And we're trying to take the music, and then Yuri starts drawing, I start drawing, and there's this kind of dialogue between sketching and the music. So it's kind of
Wow.
it's just a different way to think, and I think it unlocks a lot of new ideas and creativity.
I was there and I was like, oh my God, what is that? It's just like, you're like in the heaven or something. I don't know.
No, it's really fun. We got invited to do 3 or 4 more shows after that. So I think there's gonna be one in France and one in Los Angeles soon.
Okay.
But I think it's a neat way to kind of do kind of a live art thing. But then we tailor it maybe to a project or to an idea. So the
Okay.
first one was for Mafia School in Dominican Republic. So it's designing a music school in the worst neighborhood of DR. Actually, they're there this week working on it. But it's a chance to kind of bring ideas to life in a really creative way, and also we kind of feed off the energy of the crowd. And we gave a lecture at UDG the next day, and we had I think about 350 students, and they were asking us questions after we did the sketching, but we made them come up to the front and sketch their questions. So it's kind of just engaging the students and getting people comfortable sketching and being in front of people, because I think AI is really taking over now, but that first creative moment in front of a client, in front of a CEO, it's really nice to listen to what they're saying and draw it. And once you learn
Yeah.
how to do that, it really creates a strong bond with the client.
The students were impacts with you. I mean, I saw the pictures and I saw the videos, and they were like, oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really fun, and it also just it engages them too, and then we encourage them to sketch as well. So I think we love technology, but we like it's almost future primitive because we like the most pure raw form of creativity is just from the mind right onto the paper, and by using the music we kind of skip words and go right into the sketching. So that's our new thing, and then we take that into AI, into Rhino, into Blender, and evolve it. So we've done sketches in China that become entire cities. So it is a powerful tool to get things started.
Okay, wow, amazing. Ted, can you tell me more about your project in Tequila?
In tequila, we're doing a micro tequila distillery. I don't know if I can say too much about it, but we're trying to do maybe 20 luxury hotel rooms, maybe 10 villas, a big shared living space. And the idea is it's going to look out over the Tequila Valley, and you can have kind of this boutique distillery where you get your own barrel of tequila. I think it's maybe a few $1,000s, but you'll have your own barrel kind of in the community, and you
Mhm.
keep it for 7 years. And the idea is you can come there on vacation, relax with your friends, have a party, record a studio album, and then you take like a Land Cruiser down into Tequila for the day and come back to your villa at night and just look over the beautiful landscape. It's a really beautiful, tranquil space. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of people still don't know that there actually is a tequila town. Like I think 90% of Americans don't realize there actually is a tequila town.
yeah,
But
they didn't know.
it's an amazing place.
And also your project is very futurist. I mean, I already saw it and it was like, wow, very futurist, is wow, something
Yeah,
amazing.
so we try to take like something really traditional, like a courtyard house, and
Hmm.
kind of mix it with kind of a Star Wars kind of futuristic aesthetic. So we love taking inspiration from the past and mixing it with the future. And then most of our projects are different because we have a kind of active dialogue with the client. So that the more they tell us, the more we can make it customized to their vision. So we love working with people's ideas and kind of helping us hone it because otherwise we'd have too many ideas. So actually having clients actually helps us focus. But I think in tequila it's going to be like this amazing. It's going to be this kind of future primitive, like super futuristic but super simple kind of piece that hopefully when you look at it from a distance you won't even see it. It creates these really magical, beautiful spaces in the landscape.
Yeah, you're gonna be like to have a really good experience there.
Yeah, we were just talking to another client today about
Hmm.
switching the sites for the project, and I can't say where, but there's an amazing site that's way up, looking out over the whole valley. So it could be quite a fantastic space.
Wow, amazing. Ted, I want to ask you the last question because I know you're a very busy person. And also, I want to invite you here in Guadalajara to have you in a live studio. It
Yeah, that'd be great.
will be amazing. It will be great. So, my last question for this live in Instagram is, what legacy do you hope to leave in the field of architecture?
Legacy? Yeah, hopefully something. Or maybe one good building.
Yeah.
I think I've really only been to see about 10 buildings I've done.
Wow.
Like my cousin is the same way. I never understood, but now I kind of get it. Like it's sometimes it exists better in your mind. But I think the legacy will be maybe the micro houses and like kind of these ultra poor buildings that are just ahead of everything else around them. Like the most futuristic building for the lowest rung of society. I think that'd be the most meaningful. Creating like a sustainable place people can live that's safe and disaster proof, but also beautiful and very futuristic.
Wow, Ted, it's a pleasure to have you here. You have a beautiful heart and you have an exceptional mind. I mean, you are really great person. So I really want to invite you in Guadalajara when you come here and to have live studio with you, okay?
Yeah, sure. I think we've come to Guadalajara quite often, so it'd be nice to meet you again. And
Okay, really,
I'll invite you to Los Angeles for the next kind of live art exposition.
wow, great, great. You need to talk this about your projects, your future projects here in Influyentes Lab, okay?
Sure. Thank you. Nice to talk to you.
Okay. Ted,
All right.
see you
Ciao.
later. Bye.